Hello there and welcome to another edition of Primetime News on TV1. I'm Charlotte Benedict for the Newsfirst team.
And I'm Naveksha Gunasekara. Here are your headlines for tonight.
"17 years on, attack on the Panama complex still unresolved. Perpetrators walk free. Cabinet spokesperson stressed speedy probe into crimes against media amid evidence tempering fears. MP Namal Rajapaksa voices concern over media freedom. Venezuela's Maduro rejects US allegations, defends actions before court. 5 dead, 7 hospitalized after illicit liquor poisoning in Venapur. Special Parliamentary Committee to decide on conducting provincial council elections. Social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, Threads, LinkedIn, Snapchat. Video platforms: YouTube, TikTok, Vimeo, Dailymotion, Twitch. Messaging and community apps: WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Telegram, WeChat, Line, Viber, Signal, Discord, Slack. Today you enjoy this much freedom on multiple social media platforms. But do you remember, today marks one of the darkest days for media freedom in our country. Why? 17 years ago, on a day like today, in 2009, Sirasa was bombed, shot at and set ablaze. Those bombs and flames were aimed at your right to information. This was not just an attack to destroy buildings, equipment or cameras. The real target was the people's right to know. Your right, our right. Many still remember this incident. The fear, the silence, the sense of insecurity. Do you remember? Expressing an opinion, asking a question, or criticizing something could end in death or disappearance. From 2006 onwards, journalists were assassinated. Media institutions were burned. Some were forcibly shut down. Others quietly vanished. For those who spoke the truth, asked questions or criticized, the answer was fear of death. It was against that fear of death that Sirasa spoke for the people. And the strength behind that fight was you, the people. In the dark era, a senior journalist came to the Sirasa complex after the attack and spoke fearlessly about media freedom, truth, and your right to information. That journalist was Lasantha Vikramatunga. But within 48 hours, he was brutally assassinated in broad daylight. Justice has not been served for the Panama complex attack, or for that murder even today. In 2009, the young men and women working at Sirasa faced an unimaginably dangerous backdrop. They were just like today's youth, with dreams and a strong determination to serve the country. The attack shook them all, but they never took a single step back. Many of those brave young people are now leading voices for truth, both in Sri Lanka and across the world. January 6th, 2009 reminds us not only of fear, but also serves as a warning. The freedom you enjoy today came through a bitter history, a truth we must never forget. We must always remember that the peaceful, principled, justice-loving people of this country stood as a great wall with us. It was because of them that we could fight for you. And let's not forget, some who speak of media freedom today were part of the camp that justified those attacks and killings back then. The people have not forgotten. The truth can be hidden for a time, but it can never be killed forever. The power of truth always wins in the end. This story is not just about Sirasa. It is also a memory of Lasantha Wickrematunge, the fearless journalist who came to the Dipanama complex after the attack and was murdered within 48 hours. Tomorrow, the 7th of January, we will revisit that memory alongside this attack, reminding ourselves of the cruel and inhumane reality of that era.
What happened to the investigations into these crimes?
The
people involved in those murders, abductions, disappearances or bombings governed for years after those crimes were committed. Then those who came to power promising to investigate those crimes also governed for years. Even after those governments were toppled and those connected to the original incidents returned to power for another 2 or 3 years, if you think they would leave all the evidence behind before going home, I don't think you would believe that. Therefore, we are proceeding based on the available evidence while accelerating the ongoing investigations. The results will emerge one by one. Often, while investigating certain matters, the underlying mechanisms related to those incidents also begin to surface.
Opinions on this matter were expressed in Parliament today.
It was on a day like today in 2009 that Sirasa was attacked. Those involved in those attacks back then have now come forward, shedding crocodile tears. Journalists were not only attacked, they were also abducted and killed. Today these same people appear, shedding tears and pointing fingers at us. We know that over the past year we have run this country democratically. Even though some have criticized us for being too liberal, the police have been given the freedom to carry out their duties properly. Neither I nor the Deputy Minister have ever issued any orders to interfere. This month is referred to as Black January. Why is it called Black January? Let me give a few examples. On the 6th January 2009, Sirasa was set on fire. On a day just like today. 2 days later, Lasantha Wickrematunge was abducted and assassinated. Later, in January on the 24th of 2006, Subramaniam Sugiptharajan was killed. In Jaffna, the Udaya newspaper was attacked on the 6th January 2008. The web page named Nidahasa was shut down, claiming that it had supported Sarath Fonseca. Later, Prageet Eknaligoda was abducted on the 24th January 2011. The news outlet Lanka E-News was targeted on the 31st January 2011.
Lanka E-News පුවත්පත 2011 ජනවාරි 31.
MP Nama Rajapaksa expressed his views on media freedom during a parliamentary session.
It is shameful that the police media spokesperson used the TRC complaint against Hiru Media as a basis for an investigation. The police spokesperson is not there to serve the government. The IGP is not there to serve the government. Even the minister in charge of police is not there to serve the government. Their duty is to uphold the law. Recently, I visited Mihintale, sat on the Katulsaya floral seat, spoke with villagers, and then Mihintale monks criticized us. When you visit a temple, don't laugh. If a monk speaks, listen and learn. If the Mahasangha gives advice, it is not about politics. Mihintale is where Mihinda Thera preached, not a political stage. If you lack the backbone or inner strength to listen, then don't enter politics.
ආත්ම ශක්තිය නැත්නම් දේශපාලනය කරන්න එපා. ඒ කුමාරයාට මම කියන්න කැමති මාධ්‍ය නිදහස ගැන.
I want to tell that young man that he is speaking about media freedom today as a former member of government accused of disappearances and killings of journalists during a dark, violent era. Under their rule, Sri Lanka fell to 165th place in global media freedom rankings. Over 13 journalists were killed, including Lasantha Wickramatunge, while Prageeth Eknaligoda disappeared. More than 50 journalists fled the country. Sirasa was bombed, and now Namal Rajapaksa stands here defending a media institution spreading lies. We say every media outlet should have the freedom to operate in Sri Lanka, and we will protect that freedom. But media freedom does not mean spreading lies, inciting society or publishing baseless stories. If any media acts responsibly without sources, that institution must take responsibility. MP Namal Rajapaksa says the police are not there to serve the government, but when someone like him says that, I can only imagine Deshabandhu laughing with his hands on his hips. For the past 2 or 3 years, this is the same person who, after his 7-day wedding, went hand in hand with his friend Sanat Nishantha to assault peaceful protesters. That is how the police acted, and we saw what happened in Mihintale. When Mihintale monks said, your father stole but built the country, you all said, sadhu sadhu. And now the son comes here and talks big. The Rajapaksas never taught their children to walk straight, so they think they can keep going the same way. Let's see if they can. At least now they should change and do politics in a normal way. If not, they will keep falling deeper.
Discussions aimed at uniting opposition factions are continuing. Here is the current status of those discussions.
Senior UNP leaders called for unity with the SJB, citing public expectation.
දැන් අපි පළවෙනි සාකච්ඡාව සජබෙත් එක්ක අපි කරා. ඊටාම සාර්ථක සුවසීලී වුණා. ඊළඟ සාකච්ඡාවේදී අපි අනිකුත් කරුණු ගැන සාකච්ඡා කරා. කොහොමද කාලවකවානුව තීරණය කරලා තියෙද? අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් එහෙම නෑ මේ අපි ඉදිරි කාලේ දිනයක් දාගෙන කරනවා. ඒක ලොකු මතයක් තියෙනවා. මම දැක්කා ඒක සමාජ මාධ්‍ය ජාලාවල සහ අපිට ආපු කෝල්ස් වලින් බහුතරයේ කැමැත්ත තියෙනවා මේක විය යුතුමයි කියලා. ඒක විය යුතුමයි කියලා. ඉතින් මම හිතන්නේ දෙපාර්ශ්වයම මේක අපි තේරුම් ගන්න තියෙනවා මේක කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා. රටේ අනාගතය වෙනුවෙනුත් මේ ජනතාවගේ අනාගතය වෙනුවෙනුත්.
We are working to transform Sirikota into a modern digital party headquarters. I believe the biggest challenge is the first uniting with the SJB and then bringing the entire opposition together.
Is SJB ready for an alliance?
In
the Kandy district, which I represent, everyone supports this alliance between the SJB and UNP. This unity must happen under the leadership of our party leader Sajith Premadasa. Even in Parliament, we hold the largest number of opposition seats. So, undoubtedly, our leader must lead this alliance.
Will the SLPP join an SJB-UNP alliance?
Our position has always been clear. The UNP and SJB share similar political ideologies and economic policies. The SLPP is fundamentally different. We believe in national economic policies and a nationalist foundation. They have always supported neoliberal economic principles. We have never sought to work with the UNP. Instead, we have aligned with parties like the SLFP, National Freedom Front and Pivituru Hela Urumaya, which share our vision for the country's development.
The ruling party proposed the appointment of a special parliamentary committee to study and recommend the most suitable electoral system for conducting provincial council elections. The proposal was presented by Chief Government Whip Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa.
This parliament should approve the proposal to appoint a special committee to examine and report on the electoral system under which provincial council elections should be held and to submit its recommendations accordingly. The Speaker will nominate the chairperson and members of this committee in accordance with Standing Order 101. The committee shall consist of no more than 12 members. It will have the authority to summon any person, obtain any document or report and gather evidence either in writing or orally to conduct a comprehensive study on the matter. The committee may seek the assistance assistance of experts and professionals in relevant fields and submit interim reports as required. Even if Parliament is prorogued or sessions end, the committee will retain the power to continue meetings. The final report must be submitted within 3 months from the date of the first sitting unless Parliament grants an extension.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුව විසින් දීර්ඝ කරනු ලබන එවැනි කාල පරිච්ඡේදයක් ඇතුළතදී පාර්ලිමේන්තුව ඉදිරිපත් කළ යුතුය.
සභාව එකඟද?
අය.
ඒ අනුව අද දින න්‍යාය පත්‍රයේ 20 අංක 4 යථාපරිදි සම්මත වූ බව ප්‍රකාශ කරමි.
Newsfirst with the people.
The Gazette notification to extend the state of emergency by a month was passed in Parliament this afternoon without a vote.
Due to the disaster caused by Cyclone Ditwa and the emergence of a public emergency situation in the country, essential services for public safety and the continuity of the nation were required. Consequently, the President enacted emergency law on the 1st December 2025. Subsequently, the President extended the state of emergency another month through extraordinary Gazette notification issued recently. Today, this extraordinary Gazette notification was tabled in Parliament.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has strongly rejected all charges filed against him by the U.S. Department of Justice, asserting his innocence during proceedings at a federal court in Manhattan.
Maduro emphasized that he is not guilty of any allegations brought forward by the United States authorities. Meanwhile, Washington reiterated that all actions taken against Maduro are in accordance with the law.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife Cilia Flores, who were being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, were presented before the federal court in Manhattan at around 10:30 p.m. Sri Lanka time yesterday. The couple was transported from the detention center aboard a helicopter and brought to court under tight security arrangements. Crowds gathered near the courthouse, with groups both supporting Maduro and protesting against him, creating a tense atmosphere outside. International media reported that Maduro and his wife appeared in court wearing prison attire typically issued to detainees at the Brooklyn facility. The sound of clanking leg shackles could be heard moments before Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro walked through the doorway of a New York City courtroom for the first time. He then told packed rows of reporters and the public that he had just been quote-unquote kidnapped. Minutes after his entrance, the judge, Alvin Helistine, asked Maduro to confirm his identity so the proceedings could start. The 92-year-old judge quickly interjected to tell Maduro that there would be a quote-unquote time and a place to get into all of this. During the dramatic 40-minute arrangement on Monday afternoon, Maduro and his wife Cilia Flores pleaded not guilty to drugs and weapon charges. Dressed in blue and orange jail shirts and khaki pants, the two wore headphones to listen to a Spanish translation during the hearing, an attorney sitting between them. Maduro took meticulous notes on a yellow legal pad that he asked a judge to confirm that he could keep with him after the hearing. Maduro's wife, Flores, was much quieter, with bandages near her eyes and forehead for injuries her lawyer said she sustained during their weekend arrest. Maduro and his wife did not seek bail during the proceedings, but can do so at a later date, meaning they will remain in federal custody. The U.S. court postponed the hearing of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro until 17th of March, following a tense session marked by dramatic moments and fiery exchanges. Foreign media reports indicate that as proceedings conclude, a man inside the courthouse shouted in Spanish, accusing Maduro of causing devastation in Venezuela and demanding compensation for the suffering inflicted on the nation. Maduro responded defiantly, declaring, quote, "I am a kidnapped president. Today I stand as a prisoner of war." Unquote. Adding to the drama, reports revealed that Maduro's wife appeared in court with injuries near her eye and forehead, allegedly sustained during the arrest. Her legal team claimed that wounds occurred during the detention process. Following the hearing, Maduro and his wife were transferred to the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York, where they remain in custody. Meanwhile, U.S. Deputy Attorney General asserted that the United States has the supreme legal right to detain individuals wanted for serious crimes, emphasizing that the 3rd of January operation was not an invasion and did not violate international law. He clarified that the mission targeted 2 individuals required for prosecution persecution in the US. In a sharp political statement, US Housekeeper Mike Johnson declared that Maduro is, quote, not the legitimate leader of the country, but the head of a criminal organization disguised as a state, unquote. The case continues to spark global debate on sovereignty, international law and accountability as the world watches one of the most controversial trials of the decade unfold.
What is the situation in Venezuela?
Venezuela's Vice President and Oil Minister Delcy Rodriguez was formally sworn in as the country's interim president. Monday's swearing-in ceremony was overseen by Rodriguez's brother, the President of the National Assembly, George Rodriguez, and Maduro's son, Nicolas Maduro Guerra, who held a copy of the Venezuelan constitution.
Vengo con dolor por el secuestro de dos héroes que tenemos de rehenes en los Estados Unidos de Norteamérica, el presidente Nicolás Maduro y la primera combatiente, primera dama de este país, Cilia Flores. Por mis sobrinos, por mi familia, que juremos como un solo país para sacar adelante a Venezuela en estas horas terribles de amenaza contra la estabilidad y la paz de la nación. Juro.
Buenos días, diputados a la Asamblea Nacional, director de debate, diputados de la oposición.
People of the world, I say to you that international solidarity with Nicolas, with Cilia, with Venezuela is not an optional political gesture. It is an ethical and legal duty. Silence in the face of these violations compromises those who remain silent and weakens the international system that everyone claims to defend. Comrades, colleagues, deputies, world ambassadors of the world who are here today, this is not a bilateral difference or tension as they have falsely tried to portray it. It is a very serious breach of the international system. In Venezuela, our people's indignation is not despair. It is historical awareness, and we must convert that indignation, organize it into mobilization and political clarity so that this organized and mobilized indignation becomes invincible. Defending Venezuela today means defending the right of all peoples to exist with dignity. I take advantage of this platform to denounce that my name has been included along with that of the President and the First Lady in the same accusation that led to their kidnapping. My family and I are being persecuted because we cannot be bought. We are not political commodities.
Están desafiando una estirpe histórica y si ellos son Monroe, nosotros somos Simón Bolívar.
Delcy Rodriguez, a close ally of President Nicolas Maduro, has been a key figure in Venezuelan politics for years. At 56 years old, she has served the country's vice president since 2018 and currently holds the powerful portfolio of Minister of Petroleum. In her latest statement, Rodriguez extended an invitation to the United States to work together for Venezuela's development, signaling a willingness for dialogue despite escalation tensions. However, the situation remains volatile. Former US President Donald Trump had previously issued a stark warning, threatening further military strikes if his plans were not supported. Adding to the uncertainty, just hours after the interim president was sworn in, foreign media reported gunfire near the presidential palace in Caracas. The BBC also noted sightings of unidentified drones flying over the capital, raising fears of a possible security breach. Members of the United Nations Security Council, including key US allies, have warned that the abduction of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife by US Special Forces could be a precedent-setting event for international law. At the emergency meeting, China urged respect for Venezuela's sovereignty, claiming that no country is the world's police or judge.
中方支持安理会就美国对委内瑞拉，美方将自身强权凌驾于
The United States has placed its own power above multilateralism and military actions above diplomatic efforts, posing a grave threat to peace and security in Latin America and the Caribbean and even internationally. China firmly opposes this, and the international community has also expressed widespread, grave concerns and strong condemnation. We urge the United States to heed the overwhelming voice of the international community, abide by international law and the purposes and principles of the UN Charter, cease infringing on the sovereignty and security of other countries, stop toppling the government of Venezuela, and return to the path of political solutions through dialogue and negotiations. No country can act as the world's police, nor can any country presume to be the international judge. China firmly supports the government and the people of Venezuela in safeguarding the country's sovereignty, security and legitimate rights and interests. China firmly supports regional countries in upholding the status of Latin America and the Caribbean as a zone of peace. China demands the United States change its course, cease its bullying and coercive practices, and develop relations and launch cooperation with regional countries on the basis of mutual respect, equality and non-interference in internal affairs.
互不干涉内政的基础上，发展关系，开展合作。
We cannot allow the United States to proclaim itself as some kind of a supreme judge, which alone bears the right to invade any country, to label culprits, to hand down and to enforce punishments, irrespective of notions of international law, sovereignty, and non-intervention.
This past weekend, colleagues, the United States successfully carried out a surgical law enforcement operation facilitated by the U.S. military against two indicted fugitives of American justice, narco-terrorist Nicolas Maduro and Celia Flores. Colleagues, Nicolas Maduro is responsible for attacks on the people of the United States, for destabilizing the Western Hemisphere, and illegitimately repressing the people of Venezuela. As Secretary Rubio has said, there is no war against Venezuela or its people. We are not occupying a country. This was a law enforcement operation in furtherance of lawful indictments that have existed for decades. The United States arrested a narco trafficker who is now going to stand trial in the United States in accordance with the rule of law for the crimes he's committed against our people for 15 years.
A tragic incident unfolded in Vennapua's Thambaravilla area where 5 people died and 7 others were hospitalized after consuming illicit liquor.
Sri Lanka police confirmed that the group had consumed the brew on the 4th January and the deaths occurred early this morning. 2 bodies were discovered inside a local tavern while another was found about 50 meters away in a nearby house. 3 more individuals who had consumed the same liquor at a nearby vehicle service center were rushed to hospital, but 2 of them succumbed. The victims include men aged 29 to between 50 and 60 years. Post-mortem examinations are scheduled for tomorrow at Chilau Base Hospital. 7 others remain under treatment at Nigambo Hospital, with 1 in the intensive care unit. Police have arrested a 65-year-old woman suspected of selling the illicit liquor. Authorities revealed that she had previously been given a suspended prison sentence for drug trafficking.
The Met Department has issued a warning that the low-pressure area currently located over the Bay of Bengal is expected to intensify into a depression within the next 24 hours. According to the forecast, the system is likely to move west-northwest, approaching the eastern coast of Sri Lanka. As a result, rainfall conditions are expected to increase from tomorrow until the 10th, particularly in the northern, north-central and eastern provinces, as well as the central highlands.
The Department of Meteorology warns that some areas in the northern, north-central provinces could experience heavy rainfall exceeding 100 millimeters. Strong winds of up to 50 kilometers per hour are also expected at times in the eastern slopes of the central hill country, the northern, north-central, northwestern and eastern provinces, as well as in Hambantota, Gampaha and the eastern districts. The public is advised to take necessary precautions against possible hazards associated with heavy rainfall. Meanwhile, red warnings for landslides have been issued for the Ududumbara area in Kandy district and the Nildanda Hinna and Walapani areas in Nuwara Elia district. The National Building Research Organization has also issued secondary level landslide warnings for Kandekatia in Badula district, Vilgamur Divisional Secretariat in Mathare district, and Hanguranketha and Mathurata Divisional Secretariats in Nuvara Eliya district. The NBRO has further advised residents in several areas of Badula, Kandy and Monaragala districts to remain vigilant against potential landslides. Meanwhile, the Department of Irrigation reports that water gates at 22 major reservoirs, including Senanayaka Samudra, Yanoya and Kantale, remain open. The department added that spill gates at 21 medium-sized reservoirs, including Bomuralla, Baduloya and Demodara, have also been opened to manage water levels.
The second phase of LOLC's Divi Savia, You, Me and Our Nation social welfare initiative, which aims to uplift communities and strengthen the nation, continued for the second day at the Verulugolla Primary School in Kandy. As part of this phase of the program, 200 schools damaged by Cyclone Ditwa will undergo complete renovations.
LOLC's social welfare initiative, Divisavya, You, Me, Our Nation, comprises three major phases aimed at restoring lives and infrastructure affected by Cyclone Ditwa. Under Phase 1, LOLC provided dry rations and essential supplies over a 10-day period to families whose homes were completely destroyed by the cyclone. Phase 2 focuses on renovating 200 schools damaged by the disaster. This phase will be implemented across 3 provinces and 6 districts over the coming days. Today, under this program, a constructed building at Verulugolla Primary School in Denumara Divisional Secretariat of Kandy district, which was damaged by the disaster, was officially handed over to the students. Tomorrow, reconstructed buildings at Gallala Primary School in Karugasura Divisional Secretariat of Kandy district and at Hopewell Vidyalaya in Balangura Divisional Secretariat of Ratnapura district are scheduled to be officially handed over to the students. The LOLC Divisavya social welfare program stands as a testament to the unwavering commitment to the people of Sri Lanka.
The second National Data Protection Symposium was held in Colombo today.
The second National Data Protection Symposium was organized by the Bar Association of Sri Lanka in collaboration with the Computer Society of Sri Lanka under the theme Safeguarding Privacy in the Age of Intelligence. The event was held in Colombo today. The symposium focused on key rights and obligations under the Sri Lankan Data Protection Act, data protection in the age of artificial intelligence and several other areas. Speaking at the event, Judge of the Supreme Court, Justice Arjuna Besekar, stressed that Sri Lanka is no longer preparing for a digital economy. Sri Lanka is becoming one.
Sri Lanka is no longer preparing for a digital economy. Sri Lanka is becoming one. Right now, today, and as we speak, QR payments have exploded. The QR is here to stay. You were told that your bundle of material is also via the QR. Mobile wallets are becoming more common than physical purses. KYC has moved from paper files to pixels. Real-time transfers and platform-based commerce are no longer pilot projects. They are the rails of everyday life. In the digitally transacting Sri Lanka we are striving to build, trust does not emerge because systems are fast, or because apps are convenient, or because connectivity is seamless. Trust emerges when people believe they remain sovereign over their identity and their data, even as they transact at speed. The moment that sovereignty is lost, speed becomes irrelevant because trust collapses. And that trust doesn't collapse loudly, it erodes quietly. And if trust is the currency of a cashless future, then the Personal Data Protection Act, the PDPA, is our mint. And this is why the PDPA matters so deeply at this moment. Therefore, do not look at the PDPA as a compliance burden. It is our trust engine. It ensures technology is not just fast, but fair. Not just smart, but safe. And not just powerful, but accountable.
Attending the event, Dr. Hans Vijay Surya spoke on Sri Lanka's digital economy.
The digital economy, as we all know, is a subset of a national economy, of a macroeconomy. In Sri Lanka today, the first estimation that we have as a baselining of the digital economy is that it's around 4% of the national economy, around $4 billion. We have a very, very long way to go in terms of moving from 4% to what is our national target to be at around 12% by 2030. That's, in fact, in dollar terms, a 5x growth in the digital economy. We have put in place a digital economy blueprint, and we have a layered approach to this blueprint, starting with the telecommunication networks, which we would develop to the extent of being able to deliver 100% broadband availability by 2030 for every citizen, every business. We have to live with existing systems, but insert in the middle what we call digital public infrastructure. These are infrastructures such as the digital ID, the national data exchange, federated data lakes and lake houses. This is the environment we are trying to create so that government simply does the middle piece, creates that platform for innovation to take place while opening up systems above and below.
The symposium also featured key discussions on important topics such as from legal obligation to organizational accountability, embedding a privacy culture in public institutions and private enterprises, continuous compliance, managing privacy risks in digital transactions and e-commerce, and the ethical use of AI. Newsfirst was the official media partner for the event.
Sri Lanka Cricket unveiled its 18-member squad for the much-anticipated 20-over series in Pakistan, spearheaded by captain Dasun Shanaka.
Pathum Nisanka, Kamil Mishara, Kusal Mendes, Kusal Janit Pereira, Dhananjay De Silva, Charita Salanka, Mahesh Tikshana, Dushan Hemanta and newcomer Travin Matthew have all been included in the announced squad. Ahead of the series, the captains of both teams posed for the official photo alongside the trophy that awaits the winners.
පහුගිය තරංගාවල කීපය ගත්තොත් මම හිතන්නේ top order එකෙන් ගොඩක් contribution හම්බුණා. ඉතින් මම captain.
Looking back at the previous series, I expect our batsmen to show strong performances in the middle order during these two matches. We had some gaps in the past, and this is a great opportunity to fix those and prepare for the World Cup.
ඒවා මග හරවාගෙන හොඳ World Cup එකට prepare වෙන්න මේක හොඳ opportunity එකක් කියලා මම විශ්වාස කරනවා.
The three-match series kicks off tomorrow at the Rangridamula International Cricket Stadium.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News on TV1 for tonight.
Thank you for watching. Good night.